Welcome to your NBA Fix podcast presented by hoopshabit.com. This is episode 4 for November 18th, 2012. You can find Hoops Habit on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, and of course at hoopshabit.com. Today we're going to answer questions about 3 teams in each conference and dissect why they've been so successful. The first team we're going to talk about is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now they're 8-1. The question are they the best team in the Western Conference? After losing their opener at the Clippers, they've rolled off 8 straight victories, including big wins over Miami, Oklahoma City, and the New York Knicks. Now, their defense has been extremely strong. Their last 8 opponents have all been held under 97 points. They can boast the number 4 offense in the league, 101 points per game. Their defense is number 5 in the league, giving up just 92.1 points per game. They're led by Rudy Gay, same as always. He's kind of a mini LeBron to me. He does a little bit of everything, not as elite as LeBron is in a lot of areas. But right now he's averaging 19.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.2 blocks. There aren't too many players in the league that can boast stats like that. Zach Randolph is playing nasty. He's leading the league in rebounds with 13.9 per game. And I love the scuffle that he had with Kendrick Perkins and that win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's not going to put up with anything from anybody. Zebo is he's their brawn. He's the guy down low. Marc Gasol's huge, but he's not nasty. He's not going to knock somebody else down on the defensive end. He's more of a finesse guy, more of a European center. But I love to see the Memphis Grizzlies do well. They deserve a good, solid run with a healthy team at least once while this core is together. The problem that I see with the Grizzlies is they're not very deep. And I mean, they are thin up in the front court. They don't actually have a real backup center. They got Hamed Haddadi, who's played all of 3 minutes this year. At power forward, Maurice Spates isn't the kind of guy who's going to come in for Gasol. He plays a lot smaller than a regular power forward does. Darrell Arthur is, they're hoping to get him back as soon as possible from that broken leg, and that will help a little bit, but I can't help but think as the season progresses, if they suffer a loss, if they lost Mike Conley or Tony Allen, it would really hurt, but they could get past it. If they lose Randolph again, or worst case scenario is Gasol goes down, they've got no shot in the Western Conference. It's so deep, I just don't see them getting by anybody without their entire team. Now, if they can get there healthy, if they can keep this squad together, they've got a strong bench with excellent shooters coming off the bench. You got Jared Bayless is shooting 50% from 3, Wayne Ellington is shooting 40% from 3, and Quincy Pondexter is shooting 40% from 3. That's 3 guys off the bench that can, really spread the court open. You really have to defend them on the 3-point line, which just opens things up in the middle. So if they can stay healthy, are they the best team in the West right now? I'd say they are. The Los Angeles Lakers have something to say about that when Steve Nash gets back, but the Grizzlies play a 2-way game. They're going to be tough, and they're definitely someone we're going to want to keep an eye on going through the rest of the year. Now let's switch over to the Eastern Conference for a minute. We've got the New York Knicks. They were the last undefeated team. They're now up to 7-1, and we got to wonder if they're for real. Now, their first win of the year over the Miami Heat in New York after the Superstorm. It was a very emotional time for everybody. The Knicks were riding that emotional high, and at the time, I was extremely leery. I didn't know if the Knicks were for real. They rolled off a couple of wins against the Philadelphia 76ers without Andrew Bynum. I can't put too much stock in beating them without their superstar. But the 104-100 win that they had at San Antonio this week was extremely impressive. They were down 11 points with 6 minutes or so to go and pulled out the win behind Raymond Felton's 25 points. Now, if anyone's read my columns, I have hammered the signing of Felton. I can't stand a player that, either one of 2 things happened. He either lost it or he just didn't work very hard when he was in Portland. Now, the fact that he's playing well back with the Knicks tells me that maybe he wasn't playing as hard out in Portland. And it's hard to get behind a player like that because if he's that emotional to where he's not going to play well when he's upset, well, what happens the first time that the Knicks go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak? How's he going to react? What's he going to do? Right now, Felton's averaging 16.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1.4 steals. Those are pretty much in line with his career averages. He was way below his career averages last year in Portland. I think more importantly is the fact that he's shooting 36.7% from three. Now, this is a team that's going to fire up a lot of three-pointers. They average 26 three-point attempts per game right now. That's scary for me because, as it's said by a lot of people, it's very cliche, but you live by the three, you die by the three. And this team's shooting 41% as a team. That's not going to hold up. I don't care how hot they get. In stretches, they're going to be great. They're going to knock down those threes. J.R. Smith, he's shooting 63.6% right now. Please, that's not going to hold up. Felton's only shooting 63% from the free throw line and 43.4% from the field. Those are numbers that they set off red flags for me because Felton isn't the kind of distributor that a Rajon Rondo is. He's also going to go out there and get himself some baskets. Now, if he can't shoot at a higher percentage, you've already got a guy on the team in Carmelo Anthony that's a volume shooter. He's a guy that's not going to make a high percentage of his field goals. Now, I'm not saying he's not a tremendous player, but he's not going to shoot you a high percentage. So now you add in J.R. Smith, traditionally not a guy who's going to shoot a high percentage, with Felton, and you've got your top three shooters shooting 44, 43%, that doesn't bode very well, especially once you start facing the more difficult defensive matchups that they're going to have in the playoffs against teams like the Celtics or the Heat. If the Pacers can turn it around, the Pacers, maybe even the Milwaukee Bucks if they can get their defense straight. In any event, the only loss that the Knicks have had was that 105-95 loss in Memphis. Now, that's nothing to be ashamed of. The Grizzlies are looking like the class of the Western Conference. The Knicks were holding themselves together until about the third quarter when the Grizzlies blew it open. And then even so, the Knicks battled back, got it to single digits behind that three-point shooting. Now, with Melo, I'm a little bit worried. Everyone's giving him a ton of credit right now. And if you're the star of the team, you deserve the credit when things are going well, and you should take the blame when things are going poorly. Now, Carmelo's shooting 43.9% coming into today, and he went out and shot 9 for 22 against the Pacers. Now, they won the game, so people aren't going to say, oh yeah, but Anthony shot so poorly, because they're winning, things are going well. But if you look at his numbers, his points per game are down, his assists per game are down, and his steals per game are down. He's going to continue to get a lot of press because he is a superstar. He is going to be an MVP candidate, especially if the New York Knicks find a way to secure the top seed or even a number 2 seed. He deserves a lot of credit. But I have to exercise caution when we talk about the Knicks. It's not that I don't believe that they're a good team or that they're going to make the playoffs. They're only going to get better. They've got Amari Stoudemire coming back shortly. Amon Shumpert will be back after the new year. That's going to be a huge defensive help. A guy that can really play individual man-on-man defense, which is something that they lacked last year and really struggled against the Heat in the playoffs. I don't see the New York Knicks getting all the way to the playoffs as the number 1 seed. I think they're going to fall back just a little bit as their shooting percentages normalize a bit. But they are an extremely dangerous team. In the playoffs, you want to have a team that plays good defense. The Knicks can play good defense. You want to have veterans who can step in and fill roles in case of injury. They have plenty of veterans who can do exactly that. You want to have a team that has an individual who can go out and get you baskets when you need them. Carmelo Anthony is that guy. So the Knicks are going to be dangerous. Let's see if they can stay healthy, get through the season, and get to the playoffs. And I see them as the number 2 seed right now. Let's move over to the Brooklyn Nets. They finally got Gerald Wallace back, picked up a 99-90 win over the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento tonight. Now the Knicks are at 6-2 right now. The thing that I look at about the Nets is everyone expected their starters to be tremendous and them to have an excellent offense, but defensively they would probably struggle, and their bench looked horrible. Well, tonight against the Kings, granted, the Kings are not the best defensive team in the league, but the bench was the reason that they were able to overcome Sacramento tonight. Andre Blatch has been playing extremely well. Tonight he scored 22 points on 11 of 12 shooting. If you said that Blatch was going to be one of their key players off the bench, I don't think people would believe you. Coming into today, he's played 17 minutes per game, but he's putting up 7.4 points and 5.9 rebounds. That's tremendous for just 17 minutes of action, especially with Chris Humphries. He's not doing nearly as much as he had in the last couple of years for the Nets. Humphries is only averaging 8.9 points, 9.7 rebounds. The ability to have Blatch to come in to start for Humphries if he gets hurt, if they need him, that's huge for them. Marshawn Brooks tonight against the Kings, 5 for 6 from the field, 14 points. He's the guy that was expected to be their sixth man. Missed a couple of games due to injury, but even he's averaging 8.3 points in just 16 minutes. That's excellent. If they continue to get that kind of production from their bench, they're going to be flying high. Joe Johnson today shot just 1 of 10, but he got to the free throw line, something I've been harping on him about for a long time. He shoots too many jump shots. I just don't understand why a guy who's 6'8" as a shooting guard is trying to shoot so many outside jump shots. He's going to have a size advantage over everybody. He needs to get closer to the rim, get down there. He can get that shot off against anybody, but these long jump shots for him just have to stop. So the Nets, we look at their schedule, they're 6-2, which is great. I don't have any problems with that. But they only have one quality win, and even that win you can question. That win was at home against the Boston Celtics without Rajon Rondo, and it wasn't exactly like they blew him out of the building either. They beat him, I believe it was 5 points, maybe even 6 points. The Nets are expected to be a better offensive team, and I expect them to blow people out. But right now, they're still learning how to play together. Getting Gerald Wallace back is going to be huge for them because now they can insert Wallace back into the starting lineup. They're going to have a guy, high energy, can bring everybody else's level of play up. In the only game that he had played before today, he scored 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. That's Gerald Wallace for you right there. He's going to be all over the court. He's extremely long. His help defense is tremendous, so he can cover up a lot of bad perimeter defense by Deron Williams and Joe Johnson. I'm really interested to see the Nets have this road trip that started tonight in Sacramento. Next, they're going to be at Los Angeles to face the Lakers on Tuesday night. This is a measuring stick game for them. They're going to have Wallace back. He may not be at full strength yet, but he'll be in the lineup. The bench is starting to play better, and with the Los Angeles Lakers playing better, and Mike D'Antoni will be back at that point, I really want to see how they react on the road against a quality opponent. Can they get the job done? That's going to really show us a lot more about the Nets and what we can expect out of them going forward. Let's go back to the Western Conference now. You get the Los Angeles Clippers, winners of 5 straight, coming off an extremely impressive throttling of the Chicago Bulls by 101-80 score. Now, the Bulls aren't a prolific offensive team by any means. You cannot expect them to come out and put up 120 points. But they've been really good. So for the Clippers to hold court at home, beat the crap out of the Bulls, it's impressive to me. Joakim Noah, who's been playing extremely well, did next to nothing. And DeAndre Jordan has been continuing to impress. Now, their leading scorer is Jamal Crawford. Coming off the bench, only 28 minutes per game. He's averaging 20.7 points per game. The guy loves to jack it up, shooting 52% from the field, 44% from 3, and 92% from the free throw line. It's fitting that they've got Chauncey Billups waiting to come back from his Achilles injury, Chris Paul, Eric Bledsoe, Caron Butler. These guys are all tremendous free throw shooters. So for the Los Angeles Clippers, if they can get late into games, into free throw battles, keep the ball out of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan's hands, as far as free throws are concerned. They're going to close these games out quickly. They're just too good from the free throw line. You got to be careful who you foul. At least with the Miami Heat, you're trying to avoid fouling Ray Allen. If you foul LeBron or Dwayne Wade, okay, you're going to get maybe 70%, 75%. You foul Chris Paul, you foul Crawford, even Bledsoe. These guys are all shooting over 86% from the free throw line. They're clutch. There's nothing you can do about that. Monday night, they've got a big game at San Antonio. It's going to be an opportunity for them to exercise some of those demons from last year's playoffs and prove that they're ready to compete for the Western Conference title this year. Crawford, Griffin, Paul, and Bledsoe all have efficiency ratings over 20. Now, there's a reason that this team's scoring 102.6 points per game. They've got a lot of options. Their second line is almost as good as some of the worst teams' first lines. You've got Bledsoe running the point. Willie Green is starting right now, but to say that he is the starter, and he doesn't play starter minutes. He's got 19.2 minutes per game right now. At small forward, they're waiting for Grant Hill to get back, and that's going to be a huge, huge, huge help for them. Matt Barnes right now is playing the majority of the minutes, and from night to night, he's not going to give you a whole lot of offense. He's going to work hard and get you some rebounds. He's an excellent rebounder for his size. He's averaging 5 rebounds right now. He's going to give you some hard fouls and some protection for the stars is really what he's doing. I don't want to call him a thug, but the fact is he finds himself in skirmishes a lot more often than other guys in the league. So Grant Hill gets back. This is another guy who can be a good defender, a good leader on the court, definitely helpful off the court as a mentor to some of the younger guys, showing them how to act in the NBA, how to handle yourself. He's got a great basketball IQ. So that's something that they're going to have to work in when he gets back, because you've also got Lamar Odom, who hasn't been playing all that well. He looks like he's out of shape, slowly working his way back. He had a couple of tremendous passing games, but what's that going to get you? A couple of flashy passes. If he plays terrible defense and doesn't rebound well, can't shoot, that doesn't help. Coming into today, he's shooting 20% from the field, 18% from the three-point line, and he hasn't gone to the free throw line. I don't understand. If you know that you're out of shape, things aren't going all that well, I can understand that you're not going to perform. But at the very least, you want to stick to whatever your strengths really are. This isn't a YMCA pickup game where you can just go three-point line to three-point line and expect to succeed. I don't know if Vinny Del Negro likes Odom, feels like he owes him minutes, or is just buying time for the other guys to get back so he can put Odom on the end of the bench. But if he doesn't get himself into better shape, he's not going to be a big part of this team. He's going to find himself handing out towels instead of handing out assists. Later on in the playoffs here for the Clippers, and they will make the playoffs, Chris Paul is one of the best players in the NBA. He's a point guard that can take over the game scoring, can take over a game passing. He's second in the league with 10.2 assists per game, 2.3 steals per game. I'm not going to go so far to call him the best defensive point guard in the league, but the fact is he knows how to play passing lanes. He's got extremely quick hands, and anyone who's loose with the ball, he's going to pick your pocket. The combination of Paul and Griffin, if Griffin can continue to develop his jump shot, and if Jordan can continue to develop his low post game, he's shooting 68.9% right now. A nice array of turnaround jump shots, hooks, of course, always the threat of the alley-oop. The Clippers are going to be dangerous. I could see them representing the Western Conference. I don't think anything would make me happier than seeing a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Finals. No real away team. 2 home teams, the Battle of Los Angeles, just so we can watch the Clippers finally break out and get rid of any inferiority complex that they might have. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference again. We got the Milwaukee Bucks as one of the surprise teams in the East. They're 6-2 right now. Last year, they were a Jekyll and Hyde team. They'd go through stretches where they would be tremendous offensively and horrible on defense. Then they'd turn around and they couldn't make a shot, but they played awesome defense. This year has been pretty much the same thing. They go to Boston, pick up a great win early in the year. Then they get back home to face Boston, and they lose to them at home. They had a nice win at Philadelphia without Andrew Bynum. You can't get too excited about that. And right now they're riding a 3-game winning streak. They've got a game in Charlotte on Monday. When they were looking at the schedule before, they probably thought that was a cakewalk, but the Bobcats are looking really good. That's another story for another day. After that Charlotte game is what I really want to see from these Bucks. Are they going to be able to get through this stretch? They're at the Miami Heat. Then they've got a home-and-home series with the Chicago Bulls. They're back in Milwaukee for a game against the Knicks. Then they travel to Minnesota to face the Timberwolves. If the Bucks can get through that stretch at 500 or better, I'm going to feel a lot better about the prospects of them getting further into the playoffs and maybe even snatching one of the top 4 seeds. With the Indiana Pacers struggling like they are, the Bulls aren't performing as well as they will when Derrick Rose gets back. They can make up a lot of ground right now, give themselves a good cushion in the Central Division, and snatch one of those top 4 seeds. One thing that concerns me, though, has anyone seen Ersan Ilyasova? They just gave this guy a huge extension. Right now, he's getting outplayed badly by Mike Dunleavy. Dunleavy's averaging 12 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 2.8 assists. Ilyasova, the guy that they gave all the money to, 6.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.4 assists. Worst in every category. Now, Ilyasova was an awesome three-point shooter last year. Right now, he's shooting 27.8% from 3, 31% from the field, and just 43% from the free throw line. The Bucks have to overpay to keep people there, to keep restricted free agents there. Unfortunately, they're not a destination town. They're not a basketball city that players say, oh yeah, that's great, I would love to go play in Milwaukee. No offense to the people in Milwaukee, I come from the Midwest, I love the Midwest. But as a professional athlete, I want to be where my exposure is highest. I want to be where I have a nice climate. And I want to be there where I have a chance to get to the playoffs and succeed every single year. It's hard to say that Milwaukee is that team. Is it possible that they have the kind of team that can come together for one good season? Absolutely. You've got Monte Ellis and Brandon Jennings, both in contract years. One has an early termination option, that's Ellis. Jennings is going to be a restricted free agent. The motivation for them to play well this year is about money. Jennings has already talked about wanting to see what's available for him on the open market. Nobody's quite sure what Ellis is looking at right now, but the consensus is that the Bucks will commit to Jennings and try to do something with Ellis. But let me ask you this. If the Bucks can find their way to, let's say they're in the 3 seed, getting close to the trade deadline, would they do that to their fans? Would they trade Ellis at the deadline knowing that they've got a legitimate chance to host at least 2 playoff series? I'd like to think that they wouldn't. I'd like to think that they would give the people of Milwaukee an opportunity to root for a winner, to give them a chance to compete for a championship. We'll see what happens as we get further along. This next brutal stretch that they have is really going to illuminate what the rest of their year is going to look like. Back to the Western Conference. The Oklahoma City Thunder are hot. Now they're 8-3 now after a 119-109 win over the Golden State Warriors on Sunday afternoon. Kevin Durant, triple-double, 25 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, and just 2 turnovers. Russell Westbrook led the team in scoring, 30 points, 7 assists, 5 steals, and most importantly, just 1 turnover. Kevin Martin, he continues to be comfortable, 23 points, 5 assists. Now their stars are carrying them, which is as expected, whether it was Martin or Harden. This team it goes as its big three go. Durant is third in the NBA in scoring at 24.5 points per game. Westbrook is fifth in assists with 8.5 assists per game. And Serge Ibaka is leading the league with 3.6 blocks per game. The key has been and will continue to be Kevin Martin and that third slot. Last year, it was James Harden. We know that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are going to perform. Yes, you can give Westbrook a hard time about some of his decision-making, but the fact is the good outweigh the bad by far. Durant, sure, if you really want to complain about him, you can talk about the fact that while he is the best player, that he isn't as vocal as a leader, maybe not as aggressive as a leader as you'd like to see him, but you know that you're going to get quality minutes from both of those guys all year long. Last year in the finals, it was James Harden that made the difference. James Harden disappeared. He had one of the worst finals he could have imagined having. And the Thunder had no answer. They had nobody else to go to. So this year, they're going to be in the same kind of circumstances with Durant and Westbrook putting up numbers. Kevin Martin's going to be that other guy. Can he continue so far through 10 games, 29.5 minutes per game, 17.1 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists? Now, we know that he's not much of a passer. He's not much of a rebounder. He's the guy that's going to come off the bench, get us some points, get us some buckets while Durant and Westbrook rest. He's been doing a great job so far. Really seems to have fit in seamlessly. He's not going to continue to shoot 51% from 3. That number is going to come down. He's never been a high percentage field goal shooter. He's at 48%. That's going to come down. But what he is he's always been a terrific free throw shooter. He's at 95% right now. With Durant's a guy who could shoot 90%. He's at 89% right now. Westbrook is at 75%. He's going to likely bring that up as the year goes along. He's struggled with his shot a little bit early in the year. So their big three, their 3 guys that handle the ball the most, are deadly. Throw in Serge Ibaka, somebody who you don't expect him to shoot all that well from the free throw line. Well, guess what? He's at 90% right now. There's no way that he's going to keep that good of a number up. It's going to come back down. But the point is that the Thunder have all the weapons. The question is, can they continue to have the kind of chemistry and not blow up at each other and not start pointing fingers when things go badly? They're 8-3. Certainly you can't consider that to be bad. They had a tough loss against the Spurs. They could very easily be 9-2. We could be talking about them instead of the Memphis Grizzlies as the class of the Western Conference. It just shows how loaded the Western Conference is. We didn't talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, the San Antonio Spurs, or the Denver Nuggets, but they are all dangerous teams that could contend for the Western Conference title. You could probably throw the Minnesota Timberwolves in there when they're fully healthy, but it shows that this conference is extremely deep. The Dallas Mavericks are probably going to fall off. Even with Dirk Nowitzki back, they're showing cracks already. I don't see them taking it too far. The Golden State Warriors, when healthy, they're a very dangerous, scary team. But their health is failing them. Stephen Curry can't seem to stay healthy, although he's doing quite well right now. But Bogut is hurt again. Brandon Rush is out for the year. I don't want to say that a team is cursed. I don't believe in that. But the Golden State Warriors, they just can't get it together. Our parting fix tonight deals with the Miami Heat. Defense is a mindset. It's not a switch. You don't flick it on or flick it off. Right now, the Heat are 21st overall with 99.1 points allowed. They're coming off a sloppy 97-88 victory over the Phoenix Suns, where the Heat made every attempt to give the game away. LeBron James continued just throwing up shots from the perimeter instead of taking advantage of his size and taking him down low. Right now, the Heat are first in the league in offense, but shots aren't always going to fall, just like what happened against the Suns. They need to regain the focus and the tenacity that made them the 2012 NBA champions. They were hungry, they were angry, they felt that people disrespected them. They don't have those things on their side this year. Eric Spoelstra and the coaching staff need to pull them together and get them focused. Dwayne Wade needs to get back healthy. With a combination of Wade, James, and Bosh, they should be able to be in any series against any team. I'm not saying that they would beat everybody, but with the focus and with a better attitude towards defense, that's what's going to bring the Miami Heat back to the NBA Finals. And if they are to win those finals, they're not going to be like the Phoenix Suns. They're not just going to outscore everybody and hope to win. It's going to be because of that suffocating defense, that team defense, quick rotations, great schemes by Spoelstra, Chris Bosh playing center. They could do it. That's our show for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here every Sunday night with a new Your NBA Fix podcast presented by hoopshabit.com. Please come see us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, and of course at hoopshabit.com. Thank you very much, and we will see you next Sunday.